lovies, welcome to Naked at Night Pajama Party. This is our first episode, and I really just wanted to give you guys, the viewer... Shut up! It's like, let me get out of here real quick.
You don't have the right.
That's the ice machine. I really wanted to just give the viewer an opportunity to get to know myself and my guest on a different capacity, on a different level, because it gets really serious sometimes back there talking about heartbreak and transformation. So I thought that this would just be a fun way to kind of tap into things that we would never really talk about in the podcast setting. So like you had a guest earlier today. Tell us a little bit about, without giving everything away, like what realm was your guest? Like, was a reality TV star?
Yes. So my guest was Donnell from 90 Day Fiance. I don't know what season, but it was like one of the later seasons. And he is a reality TV star, obviously, because he's from 90 Days. And that episode was really just heartfelt. He was really just getting into his background, his family history with addiction and whatnot, and his background with, the reality show, and just going through, that, and just kind of realizing that, like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be like, and, really kind of being hit in the face with that reality of, like,
reality TV,
the reality of reality TV.
Right.
So.
And yeah, and I only caught a brief moment of overhearing the end of what they were talking about. And he said something that I related to, which was essentially that he felt kind of abandoned after his reality TV experience, and that what was being presented on TV wasn't really accurate. And a lot of things, you're put in situations for reality TV that might not be in your best interest, and they're just for views and ratings. They throw us on these shock value shows, and they present it as an opportunity, right? And it is in a way, but like, at what expense? And, it made me think about my experience with intervention, which I don't talk about a lot, because when people say, like, oh yeah, I went and looked it up. Like, I didn't know who you were, like, in regards to that show. And then they say, like, I only know this version of you. And then they go and look it up, and then they watch it for entertainment. When it's like, that was essentially like one of the saddest points of my life. Like, I was literally going to shoot myself in the back of the head, like, in the backyard 2 days after they filmed, if they hadn't come. So when people say, would I do the show again? Yes, absolutely. But I would have done it differently, just because I knew what I was signing up for. Whereas a lot of people that go on that show, they don't know that that's what they're walking into. They're told that they're signing up for something totally different. And then later on, while they're coming out of this drug-induced state, they realize, oh wait, I'm going to be on a TV show that has millions of international viewers, and it's a big show. It's not something that's shown in hospitals and in psychiatric wards and schools, like what they were framing it to be. But it made me think of, Netflix recently launched the behind the scenes show for America's Next Top Model, and that was like a show I really wanted to go on. I remember when it came out thinking, well, like, wow, this show could change my life. And just watching the Netflix part of it, I was like, wow, all these reality shows really have something in common. They kind of set you up to believe that you're signing on for one thing. And then when you get there, you have all these people creating situations, creating narratives, creating storylines that may or may not really reflect what's actually going on in your life. But it's more just to generate interest and to get views. But when the show leaves, your life is still happening.
Right.
And like, you had all these people witness these moments. Like, I remember there was one moment, this girl Shandy on America's Next Top Model, they gave her like 2 bottles of wine. She wasn't really that much of a drinker before. She's a young girl. They bring over these men that they had them ride around on mopeds with. She gets super drunk, like blackout drunk, And she ends up having sex with this guy when she has a long-term boyfriend at home that she was very committed to. And she was like, a pretty religious girl as well. Like they had plans for their life. And in that moment of her being inebriated and the show essentially allowing this to go on, they literally recorded her trauma and in a way manufactured it because they allowed that scenario to happen instead of like intervening, right? Because it's reality. We can't intervene. Okay, well, it's not a nature documentary.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we're not watching wild animals. Like, these are human beings. But it was just so interesting to see how, like, the early 2000s was so reality TV generated. And like what happened to those people after the fact?
Yeah.
Were you a big fan of reality TV at all? Did you ever have any shows that you like really liked or wanted to be on?
I mean, I dabbled. I don't think that I wanted to really be on any of them. I think that for like a long time I was like a teenager and I was working in the restaurant industry and stuff, and it like there was a lot of drama happening there. So we were always kind of like, oh my god, this should be our reality TV. Like we should be on TV, whatever. Like it would get such good views and stuff like that. But I guess like my only real experience kind of like going into that spotlight and seeing how people switch the narrative and like twist it, and the only reason that like even without watching that show that I can like really really see is that like I mean like now my boyfriend's in the spotlight, right? So like he'll post something that 3,000 people will see, and those 3,000 people are going to take it and spin it the way that they want, like the whole narrative with like me sleeping with my boyfriend's best friend, right?
Right.
Because he was tickling my feet. I clearly didn't want to be tickled. But like now for those weeks after that, like coming off of that, I couldn't even post a picture of my cat. Like I posted a picture of my cat and people were like, oh, like are you like someone said something crazy that I had to like delete it, but it was just like, oh, like now you're showing the world your pussy, not just your boyfriend's best friend.
Roommate.
I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with people though?
God.
You know what I mean? Like at some point I understand that social media, I understand that like publicity, I understand that like all of these things, but at some point that's harassment, and like it's just crazy. And they sign off on like these contracts and stuff like that, not reading the fine print. And like, that's the part that's unfortunate. And your situation sucks even more because you weren't in a good state to even sign up for those things. Like now you're like contractually in this agreement and you have no footing. Like you have nothing that you can be like, don't post that of me.
It's so sad too, because it's a situation where people like they might not have the funds, they might not have the backing, whether it be family support, whether it be anything, especially with the show Intervention, like all not everybody has that family support like you didn't, to be able to really support yourself or even put yourself in to be able to get help on your own without. So there's this situation where people have to almost like put themselves out there for the world to see when really they just need help. And so there's a sense of for some people that have to
sell your anonymity,
essentially
is what you do,
and selling your trauma and selling all these different things for entertainment purposes and for all these different I find that to be really just wrong in a lot of ways that they do that.
And I think it's funny too, because like I remember being like a kid and like I remember like all this like the movie Cyberbully was like a big one for me. Like, I remember that came out in the earlier 2000s, and like I remember like I'm almost positive the first time I watched that was in school, but I remember like seeing all these things, and then we transition into a world that's so woke, like that, like everything you do, like you just have to walk on thin ice with everything. Yeah. So annoying, right? But then there's still those like Twitter fingers in the back, like those people that are still going to comment on every single thing you do. Every single thing that you do, if that's not the way that they think that they would do it, because at the end of the day, you never fucking know. It's a fight or flight response. Like, overall. You never know, but you think that you wouldn't do it. So now I'm the bad person because I'm doing it. This is my life. Like,
right.
This is just how things play out for me, I just think it's fucked up.
Well, and so something else that's interesting is like, so I heard your guest talk about editing. Like, he had a situation where he was in a job where he couldn't do certain things. He didn't do those things, and then the way the editing was done for the show made it look as if he had participated in things that he had told his job he wouldn't do. So now he's in hot water. at home contractually, with his job, which is his source of income. And a lot of people say, oh, well, you got paid to go on intervention. I never made a dime from that show. They didn't pay me. And what's interesting too, so I met other people that had been on the show, and a lot of the other guests said, well, they gave me money because they didn't have enough footage of me getting high. So they would give me money to go to the dealer. They had a budget for that. They didn't give me money because it was more entertaining to be like, wow, you're going to be really sick in an hour. What are you going to do to go get money to make sure that you're not dope sick? You're going to be so sick. It's going to be so bad.
Wow.
Because like I can get on. It's
right,
crazy.
right. And there were certain scenarios where like they created this scene because I wasn't supposed to be driving because I didn't have a driver's license, but I was definitely driving. But they couldn't air it, so they showed it where like I was walking down the road and made it look like I was walking down the road like to go meet men for money, which never happened. Or like I was walking to meet my dealer, like to go walk down the street corner, like the way you see on movies, and like that never happened.
Wow.
And it's interesting too because I always thought, well, the show's paying for my treatment, right? So with intervention, they don't actually pay for your treatment. What they do is they have a deal where you're scholarshiped and they tell the facility, hey, we have a patient that could maybe do well in your facility. If you'll take them on, it's a tax write-off for you guys, and then we'll promote your business on the show in exchange for you taking this patient in. And it's just a different environment. Sometimes the facilities didn't know like that you were coming, like some of the people involved didn't know you were coming. And then other times the facility knew ahead of time and they told people, oh, they're on the TV show Intervention. And it was just weird. It created a weird dynamic. It already made you different than other people versus like, hey, I'm just a random person. Maybe my parents paid for me to be here. Maybe not. Like, you don't know unless I tell you, but you guys took that choice from me because you told them before I got here.
Yeah.
And I just always wonder, like, what happens on those shows and like when these people go home, what's it like? Because there was no like after support for me. I got sober living because I fought for sober living, because there was no family support. Like you had commented on, there was no financial help. There was no money that magically appeared for me to change my life because Intervention did a show for me. Yeah. That was the change. It was just the opportunity to get sober because I wasn't going to have that any other way because I had tried like methadone maintenance. I had tried Suboxone. All those things didn't work for me. My parents had sent me to rehab once. My dad had a small business and he sold the rights to service a store. He didn't want the store anyway, but he used some of that money and split the cost to send me to treatment. It was like $3,500 like was his portion. And my grandma put down the other $3,500 and they sent me to treatment for a month. And even the treatment center said like, she's not ready to come home. And like, you guys, like the whole family dynamic is sick. Everything has to change. And you guys have to change the way you view this. And if you don't, she's going to fail. And that was essentially what happened. I was, loaded with less than 6 months, I think, after I came home from my treatment experience. And my parents were like, well, see, treatment didn't work for you. Okay, well, treatment didn't work for me because I didn't have the tools and the little bit of tools that I had leaving treatment that they told me I was going to need family support. I was going to need help with. I didn't get that. So I was constantly like going back in my mind, like, well, I had to differentiate essentially my life from what the show made it seem my life was, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And I can't imagine I feel like I was fortunate because with my scenario, I was like, what I really thought going on to the show was this will take away resources for me. People are going to see me on the show and they're not going to want to deal with me because like I put my business out on the show. And like when you're involved in the drug world, like nobody wants to be filmed doing these type of things, Right. So I thought that it would close doors for me. So even if I wanted to use that, I wouldn't be able to. But I didn't think about like what doors would close for me, like potentially professionally, because I was at the point where I figured there will be no professional life. There will be no life for me at all if I don't get this treatment because I'm going to shoot myself in the back of the head. So my scenario was maybe different than somebody who had been on, 90 days 90 Day Fiance or Love is Blind. I know Love is Blind had like a lawsuit going on because, the people were coming out saying that, they weren't, essentially production has control over your entire life. And if you're not being given the tools, food, water, counseling, like access to a gym and like things to be able to manage your physical, mental, emotional well-being, and you're in this kind of toxic setting with people that you don't know, it's obviously going to create friction, which again, is that by design, right? Like, do they do this because they want the ratings, because friction gets ratings? Or is it like happenstance? I believe it's by design, and I can only imagine how it feels to think, oh, I'm going into this and I'm going to find true love, right? Because I think a lot of these people hoped for that, and they pray that like they go on the show and they do find the person they're supposed to be with. And then the reality is they get home and it's kind of like all smoke and mirrors, I also wonder too, how many people go in it with genuine thoughts of like, yeah, I really want to find a partner, or other people go in with like, well, I just need followers, or I want to get noticed by a modeling agency because they believe that this will be a shot and this will be something that doors open for them. But I feel like the reality TV world, it kind of just stays within itself, if that makes sense. Like there's not a lot of people who have been, when you think of the hundreds and hundreds of people who've been all stars in reality TV, what happens to them usually when they leave the show? They find maybe some success on Instagram or TikTok, but if they don't start their own thing, it's not like a lot of doors open for them to like go into like major movies, acting, or like, do you understand what I'm saying?
Kind of just, disappear off the face of the earth.
They fade off into the existence.
Like a one-hit wonder kind of deal.
Yes, yes.
That's like, do you guys ever watch Love Island? No. So, I mean, Love Island season 7 and season 6 were the first two that I really watched. Like, I have a friend who's like obsessed with it and stuff. So she put me on when season 6 was going on, and season 6 was like one of the best seasons ever. And then when season 7 came up, of course, since everyone was kind of talking about season 6, season 7, oh my God, season 7 kind of like blew up. And so what happened was that like during the seasons, you're kind of keeping up with them. There's an app that you vote, and like you're live with them, but you're not live with them, right? And so many people said about season 7, because season 6 got so much traction, that they like the people were almost manufactured versions of themselves, and like they're not really like that person in real life, like so many people were saying like, oh, what's her name? I forget. One of the girls was like, oh, like she's definitely PR trained and stuff like that. Like that, especially earlier 2000s and stuff, wasn't a thing. Like people weren't getting ready to go on these reality TV shows. They were just going in and throwing it all out there.
Yeah.
You see the earlier seasons of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Kourtney literally pulled a fetus out of her fucking vagina.
Yep.
She literally had a camera while she was giving birth to her son.
Yep.
You see the Kardashians now that it's on Hulu, completely different.
So different.
Like the stories are different. I
don't even watch anymore because there's like, it's boring now.
Well, yeah, but you think it's boring, but
that's
it's because
good.
it's filtered. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
Filtering
now
it,
they're like, okay, we realize that like we do have to like keep some things private. And like not everyone gets a chance. If you're on one season, if you're on a couple episodes, it's a completely different, I don't know, it's a completely different stance that people will have on you. They're going to twist and manufacture it the way that they think the audience is going to enjoy most. The audience is going to talk about it most. You're going to go on Twitter after the episode drops, and everyone's going to be tweeting, or not Twitter anymore, X, whatever, Facebook, whatever the hell you might be on. Like, they'll go on there and, like, go crazy in the comments talking about what they think of this person that they have a 5-minute viewing of. They don't know this person.
Yep.
So you really touched on something earlier, and you did it just now, about how like I think that when anybody steps in front of a camera, the people on the other side feel like because that person's in front of a camera and I'm the viewer, I have the right to comment and to criticize and critique them on anything that I want that may or may not be relevant. Like I could be standing here doing a commercial about why it's so important to get treatment and to get help for your friends that are suffering, or why it's so important to not fund private prisons, right? And someone will say, oh, but she's got huge tits. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Or people will say, you know, like, you know, they'll say something like with your thing, you know, so perception is reality. I think when it comes to what is on social media and what we see on TV as far as a character, but you have to understand that early 2000s reality TV was kind of that. These people came in as real normal people that you're right. They didn't have PR training. There was no say this, don't say that. Remember to, you know, hide this for your, you know, your own self, for your anonymity. Like, don't give away. Like they filmed me in my home that I went back living to, like with intervention. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, thank God there was no weirdos like following me around or anything. Excuse me. I had a lot of weird people that reached out to me after the show, which was something. Oh, sorry about that. Which was, you know, something else that I think you deal with is the onslaught of people who feel connected to you that don't even know you, right? And that can be kind of off-putting. I had somebody the other day reach out to me. He had seen me, I guess, on Ian's show, and then went and watched the intervention. And like he was calling me on Facebook. Like it was so random. I was like, "Can I help you? Like, is there something? Like, are you going through something? Like, is there something you need? Oh, I just wanted to talk, and I just feel like you're being rude because you're not responding." And I was like, "Hey, listen, like I'm traveling. Like I'm glad that you related to the show. However, I don't know, you've never been in women's prison. Maybe you've had family or friends." I kind of got the vibe that he was just being weird and like was trying to like low key creep on me. But it's like there's nobody on the other side helping fence that either.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like I wasn't prepared for that. And I don't feel like I should be subjected to that just because I step in front of a camera and I tell my story or I happen to have a famous boyfriend. That doesn't mean that you could just say all these random crazy things to me because you support my boyfriend's endeavors.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't give you a right to comment crazy, disgusting things. And I feel like that's turning into like a cultural thing where it's almost like cyberbullying, right? Like pre-2000s, you had to bully me in person. You had to find me and catch me in person and be ready for these hands. If you know what I mean? If you wanted to bully me. Now you can make a fake page and bully me through somebody else's face and somebody else's name and
hide behind
that. And I feel like there's such a disassociation between the way people interact with reality stars or podcast stars versus characters, because essentially even on a reality show I'm still playing a character. I'm playing the character of me, right? Because it's not the same thing. If I'm in pre-manufactured situations and if I'm in these scenarios that were created, I'm not going to react as naturally as I would if I knew this was an organic situation. Right?
No. And I like the reality TV thing, like it's just really social media in general. Like anyone who puts themselves in any type of limelight. Like I remember I posted a clip. Mind you, you guys also are like in podcasts. Podcasts are an hour, 2 hours. They can be 3 hours long. Like I've seen some really long ones, right? So now I'm taking a clip. I'm posting a 30-second clip of a 2-hour conversation, and you think that you know me from that clip.
Right.
Like I'll never forget one of my first clips that went pretty viral. I posted it and it was me complaining about work. Being a manager is like being a babysitter sometimes. Like this is annoying, that's annoying. I'm venting. You know what I mean? Everyone has a fucking job, or I mean everyone who does have a job has its pros and cons to it.
Right.
I'm allowed to vet for what I'm allowed to vet with. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, I'm the one clocking in, I'm the one clocking out, I'm the one there day to day, right? You know how many people were like, you're a shitty manager, you're a shitty server, you're a shitty this, you're a shitty that. Like you can't even, like people are like, look at what you're fucking wearing. Bitch, I'm comfy. I'm comfy right now. What do you mean?
Not locked in.
That has nothing to do with it. You're taking, in the beginning, it was harder, right? Like in the beginning, like it's like, I'm going to defend myself. I'm going to stick up for myself. If this person was in person, I'm going to tell them exactly what it is, right? Like you said, like
fighting for my life in the comments, bro.
Literally. In the beginning, I would defend it, but then at some point you like, I guess something kind of unlocks, and it's just like, dude, honestly,
It's
you
not
don't
even
fucking
worth
know
it.
me. Yeah, you don't fucking. It's not worth it. You're just taking my energy. You're taking my peace right now, and I'm not here for it. So
Yeah, I had someone tell me, and I tell everybody this because I just could not get over this comment. I had someone tell me in the comments that I had 3 necks. And when I tell you, I started off like defending myself with like all these different negative comments that I was getting.
Right.
And now I swear to God, if I see one negative comment, I just delete it about anybody. If it's about the person I'm interviewing, I delete it immediately as soon as I get the notification. Cause I'm like, I don't even want the other person to see that comment. If I can catch them as they come in, like there is no excuse for people to believe
negativity
that they can be negative and that they can hurt other people, just because they're hiding behind the safety of a screen.
Right.
I just believe that is just absolutely preposterous, and I guarantee you that they would not have the gall to approach you in person and say it to your goddamn face.
No, they would never. But you know what? You're better than me too, because honestly, I don't even delete them. I leave them up, and I'll literally be like, "Your fucking mother, get the fuck out of here!" I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here, fucking idiot." It's better for my engagement. Keep going. Or I'll be like, sorry, I've always wanted to impress you so much. And someone commented back after I said that, and they were like, don't do anything for me, honey. And I'm like, but you're like the best thing that's ever happened to me. Keep the engagement rolling, baby. It's better for my money. Let's go.
It's funny too, because so I had said that at one point. Like, I remember so I had never done a big podcast when I originally came on Ian's show, I didn't want to do the show. I wanted to do the freaking cooking show. I still feel like he owes me one because that was what I signed up for. I signed up for the commissary competition, right? I was all for it. I was like, bro, I was like the canteen queen in prison. Like, I could cook up some stuff. Like, I had this sweet spicy tuna wrap that I was going to make. I was going to blow Ian's dad away with it. It was all planned. And I had told people, right? So like, I'm a big deal of like, if I tell somebody, hey, I'm doing something, I have to do it. So that was part of why I told people, hey, I'm going on this like prison cooking shows, because I didn't want to back out last minute, because I hadn't really opened up a lot and talked to, like, people knew I went to prison. People knew that this had happened, but I hadn't really come out and just told the story. Like, even in intervention, we touched on it, but I didn't really tell the story, So when Ian was like, well, we're not doing the cooking thing anymore. Nobody really watches it. It's kind of expensive. And it's like, but bro, that's what I want to do. I don't want to do the show. And he's like, yeah, I mean, that's all we're doing. He's like, so you can come if you want, or like, you don't have to. It's like, well, I already booked my flight. I already told people it's coming, so I guess I'm coming. And it took me a minute to like wrap my head around it. And like I said, in that moment, was in front of the cameras, I'm processing all this trauma, because I hadn't really talked about it. It's the first time I'd ever actually said what had happened to me, like with my boss in like a timeline scenario. So I feel like people were watching my behavior and were like looking for social cues. First off, I'm autistic, okay? And I have ADHD, so good luck with my social cues, buddy. They're all over the place. You guys figure out something, it's gonna be like the Egyptian tablet, where like you decipher all this code, and it's all these random things just strewn together that somebody took thousands and thousands of hours dissecting. If you have that much time to watch me, you were way in over your head, and you probably need some mental help, just like I do. You understand how much time watching me. But my point being, right, is like I wasn't really prepared for it. And then I remember I kept watching the comments, because I was like, well, what are people saying? Like, and then after a while, like, I feel like my normal response was, I'm sorry my trauma doesn't entertain you. I'm sorry that you didn't find my trauma funny. Yeah. Like, if you were looking for a laugh, this might not have been the right episode for you.
Right.
There were moments, and that killed me too, because like when I cried, people got mad, right? But then if I cleared it up too quickly, like, hey, get it together, people are watching, don't cry in front of people, then I was like a psychopath. Because I didn't want people to see me cry, and I would go in and out of like crying and then like trying to have composure.
Yeah.
Or trying to laugh it off. So it was like, either way, I couldn't please people. So when I came back for the second episode, it really affected the fact that I didn't really want to tell my story again. You guys didn't like me at all. No matter what I did the first 2 hours on the first episode, everybody had some complaints.
Right.
I basically felt like the general consensus of the comments was, shut up and show us your tits, Meg. Yeah, because everyone called me Meg from Family Guy.
Oh
because
my
I had the
God.
glasses and I was like, listen, if that wasn't so fitting, I might be mad, but it was actually pretty fitting. I had like the big baby. I had the glasses. My whole family hated me. Like, it kind of checked out. I was like always on the verge of society.
Well, no, and it's funny that you like bring that up too, because like I remember, so like I went on a podcast. I mean, like literally the day that I met Ian, like I went on I went on Kevin Lanning's podcast, and I talked about like my situation, and I guess I had talked to friends about it, like, but people who knew me, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't out on social media. I wasn't out on, like, people who have, like, thousands of followers and stuff. Like, I wasn't out on their pages, like, discussing it. And I remember when the episode had just come out, I didn't even watch it. I clicked on the comments, and, like, everyone was like, look at how, like, not remorseful she is. Like, look at how, like, how she's laughing about it. Like, it doesn't seem like she's taking this seriously, like, whatever. And, like, I remember, like, looking at one of my friends and, like breaking down, being like, dude, I literally felt like the scum of the fucking earth when this happened. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of, like, obviously you spiral, and, like, obviously, like, things happen along the way. Like, I always say that, like, it's not grief that I was going through, but, like, I went through 5 stages of just acceptance of it. And like going through all that, like no one was there with me when I was like finding out about something so minuscule and like literally breaking down in tears because I could not compartmentalize with everything that was going on within my life, you know? And everyone in the comments is ripping me like, she's a bitch. Like, you know how many people died from what you did? Like, you know how fucked up this could have been? Like, whatever. And I'm over here like, yeah, I was going 8 miles over the speed limit. Like, you know, I'm not saying
and it's so weird because people always like, you know, there's other people that have come on his show that that have done much worse than what you did.
Like me?
Yeah, but no, and that's the thing though, is that if you cry, they don't want you to cry, and if you don't cry, they want you to cry.
Right. You can't make them happy.
Win.
You literally cannot win. It sucks. And I kind of want to touch on something that like you were also saying too. It's like funny when like you kind of like become this persona for the internet, right? And we've talked about it, I mean, off camera, but like you almost pigeonhole yourself to like this one character.
Right.
So like I remember when you wanted to start your podcast, we were kind of talking about like different ideas and like what exactly you were going to find your realm in. And it's so funny that like the first thing you said to me was like, I'm not just someone that went to prison, you know?
Yeah.
I'm so much more than that. But the internet, what they know me as right now is this person that like, I let my addiction get the better of me and I went to prison, and that's all they know because they saw 30 seconds of something that I talked about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is. Yep.
No, for sure. And yeah, and I definitely think that happens just like it happens with actors. I think it can happen with, you know, reality characters, because even though, you know, I am a real person and these were real things that I went through and I experienced, it's still a character because these are manufactured situations. Like even on Intervention, like they set the stage for certain conversations and they set you up for certain scenarios so they can portray what you would do if this happened, even though it wasn't actually happening.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
But it's interesting because I feel like we have found a whole new way to basically make community and to bully all at once, right? And when I say we, I mean people in general. So it's kind of great and horrible at the same time because of the bullying, right? Like I didn't want to do podcasts for a little bit after I had done Ian's, and I kept watching like how many views did it get? Did it do well? And that's like the number one thing. Anytime I go on someone's podcast, it's always what I ask. I almost never rewatch them, by the way. I don't think I've never watched my whole Intervention episode from start to finish. I just really can't. I mean, I know what happens, as that, you know. And then I have yet to watch any of my podcasts start to finish. I've watched clips and bits and pieces. But I feel like I spend most of my time really in the comments. So after like the third one, I quit reading comments. I quit checking the pages at all. I just posted my first episode on YouTube. I can't tell you if anybody watched it at all. I can't tell you if there's comments on it. I refuse to check it.
I can if there's a lot of love. So.
I refuse to check it just because of what my experience was. And I feel like that's, at the end of the day, I'm not really motivated by what people say about it, because my story is my story, no matter how people feel about it. And I think that's what makes it impactful, right? Is there's nothing I can do, good or bad, that will change what I did then. But my retelling of the story and my physically showing up to deal with the consequences of it and anything good that may have come out of my sharing that story, that is where the real power is for me and for the people at home, because I am telling my story so maybe the next person doesn't have to experience it. Or maybe you're at home struggling. Maybe you are the family of somebody who just got hit by a car and that person left, and you want to know like what goes through your head. How could you be such a horrible human being to do something like this? Or maybe you're one of those people hiding behind your addiction or hiding behind a screen, wondering like, I don't know what makes people do the things they do, right? But that's the benefit of you being on the other side and you having me, is you don't have to know. You can watch. You don't have to experience what I experienced to learn that this is not the route you want to go, and that maybe there are better choices to make. And I feel like I have found a community because of all the people that came together like to bully me online. And I told you the first day I met you, like I let people bully me offline all the time. And that's why for a while I didn't want to do a podcast, was because I was terrified that I would put all this time and money and effort into it. No one would watch it, or people would only talk crap about it. But like Cardi B said, like, thanks for the people who downloaded and talked shit about it, because you downloaded it, so I got the views for it.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
And I feel like now I have all these people to lean off of, all these amazing creators, right? From all these different aspects of walks of life, all these people that I never would have connected with had I not come public and shared my story. And like, I get to be a part of their creative process in one way or another. Like, even if I'm not on their shows, I'm constantly talking with people about like ideas and things that like encouraging people, like whatever your idea is, just go do it. Like, worst case scenario, you work for 6 months on a project that 10 people see. But if you impact those 10 people, it might sound horrible if you're trying to make money off of it, right? But at least you did something. Because I was always that person who, like, I had great ideas and I would be so terrified of failing that I wouldn't see the project out, because I would be in my head originally with the comments people, right? Of like, oh, well, this is pointless, or I'm too long-winded, or I'm too tall, or I'm too fat, or I'm not smart enough, or I don't have the right education. But I know people, and I know like my story, I know what it is to be a decent human being, and I know how impactful having somebody in your corner can be. So it's nice that I have essentially become that person. I have become the person that I wanted to show up in my life for me. And I get to be that for other people, partly because of the situations I put myself in, and I've been pigeonholed by the comments. And it's really almost like a beautiful side effect, and like a consolation prize almost, of like, I'm not going to be the famous rich person online, but like I am everybody's like emotional support animal.
No, and I think that's like the most important part too, is that like when I was starting my podcast, like my goal was never like, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna make money on the podcast. That was never my goal. My goal was that like, I like doing this, I like talking shit because it's fun. Like, it literally feels like you're just surrounded by people that go through similar experiences with you, and you relate and you talk and you just bounce ideas off of each other, And I remember someone like who's in the space and stuff like looked at me and was like, you know what? And that's why you'll be successful, because as long as you're following like the proper regiments and stuff, as long as like you're engaging and you're posting and you're doing whatever the hell else, that's going to show more than anything else. I still don't make money on my podcast, you know what I mean? And that's okay. Like, I'm not in any rush, at the end of the day, like I have a good support system, and like I have people that in my circle that like will like help me grow, but at the same time, like I've gotten eyes of like cool people because I'm not like, why am I not making money yet? Why am I not making money yet? You know what I mean? It's not a job for me. It's fun. This is my hobby. Yeah. And that's always been my dream, Hopefully my dream will pay. But it will. But my hobby, like this is what I love. This is what I'm passionate about, and this is what I'm doing. So. And
for me, I'm doing it to help people and to kind of bring attention to the mental health crisis that is a public health crisis right now.
It is.
I feel that it's so important to bring attention to trauma, and because so many people have shared experiences that they don't get to know that somebody else is experiencing the same thing. And so my purpose is to just put everything out there and to help the world in that sense, and to also help the person that's sitting across from me as well. So that's my purpose with that. But it's important to be able to just kind of just be following your purpose and doing what it is that you love.
And I like that we've all been on each other's podcasts.
Yeah.
Like, that's fun, but like I think that yours is extra important too, because I think you kind of put it in perspective to people. Like there's things that you have to relive, right? Like there's things that like I went to therapy for years and years and years and years, and now that's why I was so comfortable having that conversation, and that's why I was so comfortable like opening up and things like that. But you almost like get a different perspective in your own life as you grow, and it's really cool that like one day, in a year from now, I'll be able to like look back at that video that's documented. It's on the internet, I'll be able to like look back in that video and been like, this was my mindset now. This is how my mindset's changed. And it really is a beautiful thing,
Yeah.
Social media has its pros and cons, man. But that's one thing. Is
it helps
it stays
people,
forever.
Especially being able to put stuff out there. Like there's so many things where, people are like, I left an abusive relationship because I saw an Oprah Winfrey episode, or, I left, I don't know, I started a business, that I needed to start because of the fact that I saw an inspirational, person that was vlogging about the video, the business he started. And,
Or I went to rehab because I saw somebody else that was only just pain pills, and they went to treatment and they managed to get okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the same type of deal. I think it's really important. It's funny when I hear people say things like you get the comment all the time of like, oh, these guys should have their podcasting license revoked.
Or like, oh no, which one I get all the time, the podcast equipment doesn't cost enough these days. I'm like, shut the
hell up. Oh God.
Shut the
cost
hell
enough
up.
to prevent you from doing it.
Yeah.
No one cares about what you gotta say, baby. Let me tell you.
They have so much to say, but I want to see you get up here and do the same thing.
Yeah,
right.
And that's what they don't really realize either. You know what I mean? Like with TV, with this kind of production, with any type of production, really, like photography even, it's lights and cameras in your face. But there's just nothing that you can do sometimes to prevent those nerves, like, except just continuing,
I was called the monster growing up by my cousin. And it's so funny because it's never left me throughout my whole time on the, doing these shows, and whether it be on, being on Ian's or Kevin's or my own or whatever, but like, I don't know, I can't help it. I've just embraced it that, like, as long as like the content of my words are like, there's enough words that are important, at the end of the day, like, who cares that I say, a lot, and so I think that's so important, is just to ignore the comments. And
at the end of the day, listen, I say like all the time, that's my right? I say like. Bitch, I can cut that out. You can never cut out that stank from your attitude. You can never cut that out. So
I love it. I can smell the stank from here.
Yes,
I
can smell the stank from all the way across the room, baby girl.
Like, what
through
is
the
wrong with you?
screen.
No, it's never
so
girls.
funny.
Like, you know what's so funny? Like,
It's always men.
It's always grown
men.
ass men. I'm just like,
And I guarantee you, they're not getting it at home.
Yo, it's always some
they do
guy.
not get it. They were Valentine's Day. They were all the way alone.
Yeah.
They had a problem. It's the
or their partners
male
just fucking
loneliness
hate them.
epidemic.
Yup.
That is just going wild.
You know
You
what?
mean the women are realizing we don't need men? That's real, because that's essentially what's happening. Women are realizing I make as much in the workforce as a man does, because you got to think when like our grandmothers were home, like women had to have permission to have a bank account.
Yeah.
Like what was it, like the 50s?
Mm-hmm.
I think, like they had to have the permission from their husbands to go open a fucking bank account.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I got permission to work, but I don't have permission to go to get a bank account. Like,
Makes
what?
no fucking sense.
Yeah.
None.
And now we're creating spaces for other women. We're holding space for the women that aren't ready to look at relationships and say, this relationship doesn't serve me anymore, but I can bring the same thing to the table that my partner's bringing without the chaos and stress of having that actual partner. And that is essentially the male loneliness epidemic. And baby, I don't feel sorry for y'all.
No.
Evolve. Like,
Evolve,
baby.
And you know what? As soon as you do, we have a lovely podcast that you can come and share your traumas on.
Yeah. I love how we brought that right back.
Yeah. Talk about it, baby.
And like, we could have you could come on to mine and talk about how you had this enlightening moment where you realized that your partners no longer needed you because you didn't serve a purpose.
Yeah.
And you didn't know what your purpose was. And you could tell me all about what that journey was like.
And you can come on mine and use your childhood trauma that made you like that in the first place. So
And you can go on hers and talk about how
you
had
drank
your
the bars
job.
up now.
You made best friends with the bartender for your bitterness and angst. It's so interesting though. But it's interesting to see how it's come full circle, right? Because I do believe that podcasts they're essentially needed because we are filling the void that was created in a lot of us, like when we were little, right? I think a lot of people, me particularly, like I thought I was going to grow up and like be somebody. I was going to be important, right? And I'm still searching for what does that look like for me? Because like it's not enough for me that I'm important to my son or to like my immediate family or to like my community with like my lights. Like I need to be needed more than that.
And I find that to be so interesting too, because I shared that same experience growing up of being like, I want to be a star, and now it's kind of toned down a little bit. And now it's like, I want to be important to the world. Like I want to I want to
matter. I want to make change.
Like I want to make change. I want to be a significant individual.
Yeah.
When it comes to certain things, but like when I was young, it was like, oh, I want to be a singer. I want to be an actress.
Yeah,
I want to be whatever. But that I do believe that a lot of that does sometimes come from childhood trauma and not being made to feel like you're important and valued at home.
Yep.
And then also the other thing too, like a big reason why I wanted to speak. And it's funny because on my Instagram, my personal Instagram, one of the bubbles, my highlight bubbles for my, for my podcast, it says speak. And speak is a really important word to me because I wasn't able to speak growing up till I was 4. I didn't start speaking till I was 4 because of the things I'd been through.
Oh, wow.
And so my first word was open. And ever since then, I'd been talking. And so like I'd gone through things and I, not being able to speak and not being able to put across exactly like what I wanted to be able to put across and to be misunderstood. And so being able to give other people a voice is so important to me.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I feel like and that was why I felt like my genre that I picked, like love and relationships in general, and essentially looking back on how the way I viewed relationships within my own home and the social hierarchy within my own family viewed the way I interact with people now. Like it changed and affected the way I interact with people now. I feel like it's so important to understand that because it makes you more, it makes me, I can say you, but I mean me. And I am a more effective student when I know how to teach. I'm a better teacher when I know how to learn. You know what I mean? And it's the same type of thing. Like when I want to be understood, I find that I'm understood so much more when I'm trying to understand somebody else.
Right.
You know, I don't want to feel, obviously I want to feel loved, but like I feel more loved and most lovable when I am pouring love into someone else. So I feel like part of my path is to fill the cup for others. And essentially it fills for me on my own because I'm putting out what I want to receive.
Yeah.
Right. And like, so one of the most impactful things I ever heard about relationships I was in 12 step. It was with my first sponsor. And she told me, I want you to go home and like write a list of like everything really specific that you want in your partner. Very specific. So I went home and write this list, right? And I come back and I'm thinking that like I'm ready to like go date and have these relationships, you know, because I was kind of not having relationships intimately with other people while I was getting sober because there was so much work I needed to do on my own, right? And I'm not sure what this is. Sorry. But I learned that the list was not for the next person. She was basically like, okay, that's a very long, big list. She goes, you're going to be that. I was like, what do you mean? That's for my partner. She's like, no, when you can be everything that you want in a partner, that is when you are at your best able to go look for a partner. You're best suited to have a partner is when you are ready to show up essentially and be for yourself and for that person everything that you need. Because how can I ask you to give me something that I can't refill?
Yeah.
Right? You can't keep giving me your juice every day just because I love juice, but you love juice too. So like at the end of the day,
I love the juice
needs,
reference.
Yeah,
somebody
I knew you'd be feeling it.
I felt it.
Somebody needs to reciprocate and needs like at some point both cups need to be full.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? So how do you do that if you're always the one taking from the other person? So I felt like I was such a better partner when I was thinking about not what my partner was doing for me, but what I was doing for the other person. And that's kind of how I feel like podcasting is. It's not because if I'm looking at a guest, right, as what are they going to do for my show versus I really think I am a great space for this person. I think my crowd will really appreciate this person and that my guest will receive the love and the understanding and the compassion that they're looking for in my audience versus are you going to make me hit TikTok's, top charts, or I don't even know how it works. It's how out of touch I am with this stuff. But like, am I going to go be trending? Like, that doesn't really matter to me. It way matters more of like, did you feel like you were heard? Did you feel like you were really given a fair chance to tell your story, unedited, unfiltered, and unmanufactured, right? Because like I said, that was kind of how I felt. I felt like I was handled a lot with the reality TV thing. Like you're handled from one person to the next, and the first person's telling you, well, don't do this because blah blah blah, and the next person's telling you, well, no, you should do that because it would be great for ratings. You know what I mean? So there was a lot of confusion, and there was a lot of, for me, am I making these people happy? And really all I should have been asked to do was come in and tell my story honestly. So I am essentially giving someone the platform that I wanted to have. Right? And I feel like that is where the true magic is for me, is to have a space with another person and to be able to be there for them. Say, hey, dude, we've got an hour, we've got 2 hours, like whatever you need to get through this, like whatever you need to say, let's say it in this space while you're safe and while you have someone actively listening. And if you want to cut it later, we can cut it later. It's not a big deal to me because this is your story, and I want to present you. And that was something else too. I remember when I originally had this idea, I really wanted to work with a lot of the BKFC fighters because like I just happened to know a bunch of them. Because like I'm friends with Christine Faria and I'm kind of like hang out in the fight gyms and like I know a couple people who went UFC and stuff like that. So I felt like these people are so multifaceted, right? And I went back to the same thing I told you. I am so much more than my prison story, right? I am so much more than my intervention story. These people are so much more than their ability to beat the shit out of people.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's what they're known for, but like, this guy is a cop and he saved a little kid's life the other day and nobody knows about it because all they know is that he lost his last fight.
Yeah.
Or he
And
won
nobody
his
cares.
last fight.
They don't care to know more.
Right. So, and that was what I was hoping for, was that I would change if I can't change the viewer, I change the perspective, right? I change the angle of the camera, right? You can't change the viewer, so you change the angle of the lens. And like, what are we focusing on? So I really wanted to just have a safe space to highlight people talking about things that brought them joy or things that nobody really knew about them. Like some of these fighters are like very sensitive, very amazing, emotional people. And you wouldn't know that if you didn't know them, because on the platform that they're most shown, you're beating the crap out of another human being and breaking someone's face, you know?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't think that that person is an amazing cake baker,
Yeah.
you know, or that this person, he fights to eradicate, you know, child hunger, you know? It's just really, I really wanted to have a safe space for people because I felt like I didn't want my people, my guests, because I feel like if you're coming on my show, like I'm going to get to know you in an intimate way and we're most likely going to be friends. I've yet to go on a show of somebody's who I didn't make friends with, or I wasn't like constantly messaging them all the time. So I feel like if I'm able to give what I hoped for, right? The same way that I was told to give what I wanted to receive in a relationship. If I view my podcast that way and I'm giving people that safe space and I'm giving people an audience that I believe will really appreciate the story for what it is, and like you can take it for how you want. Yeah, they might be a BKFC fighter and they might have broken somebody's face, but if he saved a life the day before and like what, you know what I mean? I feel like it's just a totally different way to see people for who they are instead of the role that they play. Because as a fighter, it's kind of just like a reality TV star, right? Like you're really doing this in real life. This is two people really fighting, but they're trained to go into this. And like, that's just the side that you see because that's what you wanted to see before. But now you have this opportunity to see a whole nother side that was never available to you. Right. So it brings the human factor back. Right. I feel like that's what a lot of celebrities lose, is they lose that human sense. And like, if you're such a big celebrity or you're such a big name that you're so out of touch with reality, I can't relate to you because of like the way you live your life is so different, then you're going to have a hard time keeping my grasp, like audience-wise, especially if you're trying to be relatable, like on a talk show or a podcast. Right. Because I don't relate to you because you're so different, because you have spent your time making yourself different from everybody else.
AKA the Kardashians.
Yeah, yeah, that's a perfect example. They're so
unbelievably out of touch, and like, you know, they're talking about like, you know, like Alabama is over there talking about, you know, getting another house, and she's like, oh, I got a house for my birthday, and I'm like,
the tax
she's
write-off
literally
is what
like 18, 19, and I'm like, or something like that.
She doesn't know anything about taxes or
about anything. Yeah. It's so unrelatable, like their houses, the way they look and everything.
Yeah, I almost feel bad though.
I was just gonna say the same thing.
Like, especially
she was thrown into
it. You obviously, you can't choose who you're born to. You know what I mean? That's why I almost feel bad for like Kylie and Kendall too. I think that like Kim and Khloe and Kourtney and stuff were a little bit older when all the fame and stuff happened. So it's a little crazier for them to be so out of touch and stuff, but
Kendall's the only normal one.
Kendall is pretty normal.
Kendall is the only normal one.
Yeah, Kendall is.
Kourtney is a close second. I feel bad, and like, so even us sitting around talking about them, right? Like, they're beautiful women. They're very smart. They're very business motivated.
Yeah.
And like, I wish I would have 100% swapped roles with them at any given point in time in life, because they have built something so recognizable. But the problem is you're so recognizable that it's almost like you're more of an idea than a real person. Right? Which is why, again, we can sit on a couch and talk about their lives and like, you know, how we feel about it, because we're talking about it as an idea versus as people, because in this reality TV realm that they literally own, like they have created this whole manufactured universe. And you were talking about this earlier, how like, you know, the original seasons were so different from like the seasons now, because they're so redacted and they're so scripted and they're so heavily edited with filters and all this stuff.
Yeah. But I also really do believe too, it really is them just fighting the pigeonhole, right? Like, I mean, I was fucking maybe 4 or 5 when the sex tape came out, and I still know Kim Kardashian to this day as being famous for a sex tape.
Yeah.
She's pigeonholed to that, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like part of like the reason that maybe it is why she's so
that
big.
direction.
Yeah,
because
like
she had to. Yeah.
Well, no, not even just that, but like so much like she's working all these different angles, right? Like she's modeling, she's doing this, she's doing that, she's doing this, she's doing that. She's always working. Of course, like thank God that she did that, because she was able to provide this life for her and her family and her kids and stuff that like she wouldn't have had if she hadn't worked, like tried to bust through those walls. But at the end of the day, like I almost feel bad for her situation too, because it's like, dude, that's what she is. That's what she's known as.
for.
You know,
She's brilliant too, and
But
like,
she is,
she's
yeah.
very smart. Like she's, you know,
And
she
she's
went to law school.
work. She's the most hard work. Like she's arguably the most hardworking of them all too. You know, and like it sucks that I don't know, she could never go to a grocery store again.
Right.
Yeah. Imagine having like I literally was having the munchies so bad the other day, and I was passing 7-Eleven, and I'm like, I need half-baked ice cream right now.
Yeah.
Imagine not being able to do that.
Because you're so famous.
Because you're so famous. I would never want a life like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't.
I want to be famous like Ian famous. I want to be famous to where like my community knows me and be like, oh, that's the girl that like gives people an opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? That's the opportunity girl.
Yeah.
I like the idea of being well known. I think that's something that's really a good way to look at it, is like if somebody's well known. Like
right.
My great grandmother, and I don't think I mentioned this on the podcast, any of my podcasts, but my great grandmother was the first female mayor of the Western Hemisphere.
That's cool.
In Jamaica, they know that whole family is like the Kennedys. And so I didn't know that growing up at all. I didn't know that they were practically famous over there and they can't go anywhere and everything. And, you know, it was, for me, it was like to find that out. I'm like, oh, you know, like that's a really great thing to be known for, is to be, you know, somebody that's out there politically and supporting the community and doing good for people. And so, like, for me, I really like the idea of being a part of that and being known for that and everything, as well as known for my own things that I do to help the community. So, you know, for me, I think that's, you know, it's a really cool thing. And, you know, yeah.
But you know what's unfortunate about it though is you really never know when your big break is gonna come. You know, like you never know when someone's going to release your sex tape, or when someone's going to, I don't fucking know, like the Hawk Tour girl.
Yeah.
Imagine being famous for that.
Yeah.
Imagine that's what you're known for. Like,
it's terrible.
It was pretty.
You think that little her?
Her and Bad Baby were both brilliant to be able to take 15 minutes of fame and essentially market a whole career off of it.
Well, the thing with Hawk Tour is she wasn't able to. She tried too late.
She did for a little bit.
For a second there. There was Halloween costumes.
Yeah,
At Spirit, there was Hawk Tour Halloween.
Yeah. You've made it.
Made it, girl.
Her little 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
She was in that show with crap. I was in a movie with him. I was an extra in the movie The Hitman. What's his name? He was in the shit. Hold on. What's his name? Hold on. on. It's like Colin Powell. No, that's the president or somebody. Hold on, he's like the Secretary of State or something. Hold on, it's Glenn Powell. Glenn Powell. I think that's his name.
Yeah, I mean, she's not someone that I would recognize on the street. I think Bad Baby did a little bit better. Of a
Yeah,
job with that.
no,
She
I
did.
love her. I think her
Yes.
music is great. I
She was in a
absolutely
movie.
adore
She was
her.
in a show with Glenn Powell. It was on Hulu.
Well, she'll always be
Hold
known as a
on.
hog to a girl.
Yeah, she was.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Chad Powers.
Okay.
She had a couple lines in the Chad Powers show. Have you guys seen that? Oh my god, it's so funny.
No.
So when I was an extra on The Hitman, and it was like one of the first movies I got to be an extra on. It was so funny because they had us in this club, right? And we were filming this one scene for like 13 hours. We filmed this
Jesus
scene all
Christ.
fucking night.
Wow.
And I'm in this club, like I'm in this like gold outfit that's like silky like this, and I've got glitter on me. I was trying to channel Paris Hilton like early 2000s, like when she was doing all the clubs and like the like fairy-esque, but not essentially fairy, right? So I'm like in this club and I'm dancing, and he and the lead star are over to the side, and they have all these cameras following us. And after a minute, they cut to me and 3 other extras, right? They've got 2 males that are dancing with each other, and then I'm like doing this weird thing, and Glenn Powell was like, wow, she like carried that whole scene. I had no idea who he was at the time, by the way. And listen, just so you know, mainstream actors get bullied too. We were literally on the set, right? I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about this. We were on the set, and there were some extras because there's a bunch of us. There's like the whole club is all extras, right? And there's extras behind us, and they were essentially heckling Glenn Powell, talking about, oh, she's so hot, and she's doing such a good job at her job. He really thinks she's into her, talking about the lead actress. This is literally their job. They're hired to portray certain feelings and certain emotions to make you guys think that there is real chemistry or whatever. Either way, they were like heckling, and I saw that he registered that they said something because I saw it in his body language. As soon as he said it, like he kind of like shifted his way. But it blew my mind once I realized after, because a lot of times you're just thrown on set. Like they say it, they give you a fake name for what the show's going to be called. That one actually was called The Hitman. It was like one of the few. Like, so I was on the set of Five Nights at Freddy's. That was called Bad Cupcake. The filming title for it was Bad Cupcake. It was the most random. And then I remember like, oh my God, that's Josh Hutcherson from The Hunger Games.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm literally 5 feet from him. I didn't wash my hair today. I was like, I got called last minute for that set. So they didn't want somebody else. I've been on so many sets by that. It's so random. They're like, well, we wanted this person, but they weren't available. Call this girl. Hey! But it blew my mind though, looking back on it now. Like this guy is a mega famous. He was in Top Gun. He was in this. He's got his own show, Chad Powers on Hulu. He helped write that.
Wow.
Like he is a very talented, he's a very handsome man. He was very friendly. And he's still getting bullied by people that make less money than him and are not the highlight of the show.
But that's what it is. It's jealousy at the end of the day, you know? Like,
Yep.
you're never, you don't think that you can, I guess, surpass them, so you have to kind of bring them down to your level.
And bring you
It's
down. And that's essentially what I feel like we have talked about this whole episode but haven't touched on, is at the end of the day, people that are unhappy, they want to bring you down to where they are. If you're out doing things that they believe they couldn't do, they're going to limit you because I only want you to do as good as me. It's kind of like Mean Girls in high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can be pretty as long as you're not prettier than me.
Yeah.
You can be popular as long as you're not more popular than me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then once you get that, then there's like this cattiness. It's weird to see men doing it.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was reserved for women, but apparently it's in men too. But you know, I think if I wanted to leave people with a thought, right? It's what are you bringing to the world? What do you as a human being, as a spirit walking this earth? Because I believe, me personally, I think we live many lives. I think that I have been here many times. I don't know what I keep hitting the reset button. I'm not sure what I'm messing up on because I'd like to go to the next level, please, after this. Whenever this journey is over, if I could just go to the next level and not have to do like Mario and just repeat and start all over again, that would be fantastic. But I'm hoping that this journey for me for this part of my life while I'm on this earth this time, that I leave something behind that is more than pain and I can't and I shouldn't and I won't and fear. Because I feel like if I'm so wrapped up in that, how can I ever grow? Mm-hmm. Right? And if I can't grow, how can I encourage you to grow? Like if I'm too afraid to do it, I'm not going to encourage you to do it because I'm scared for you too.
Yeah.
Or like if you could do it and then I couldn't, then what does that mean for me? Who does that make me, right? So I leave you guys with this. What are you adding to the lives of the people that you interact with? Like, do you feel like at the end of the day, anybody that you interacted with, whether it be in person, on the phone, on the internet, you feel like you added anything to their lives today? And if you didn't, why? If you're only taking from people, right? How long do you believe you will have a place in their life? Or how long do you believe this attitude will serve you, right? Because what is it doing for you? If you're literally just draining others, it's not building you up. Because if it were building you up, you'd be too busy working on whatever you're working on to bring me down, right?
Yeah.
So I guess I would like to challenge people to, if you're one of those people, because I don't want to be a bully, right? Like we can all change. We can all do things better. If you're one of those people who tend to have negative thoughts and leave negative comments, ask yourself, what are you benefiting and what is driving that need for you to let other people know that you're superior? Because that's essentially what it is. I'm better than you because I don't think the way you think, and I'm not laughing. This is serious. You should take this seriously. I'm so much better than you. Yeah. Or I'm better than you because I didn't have that experience, or because I don't tell the world my horrors. Why would you want to do that? Because I want other people to grow and I want to help enhance lives of others. And if you don't, what is your goal?
Right.
Because like, how are you growing if you're not helping those around you grow? Because I die in stagnant stuff. You know what I mean? Like for me to be stagnant is to be complacent. And that's just a place of death for me. I have to always grow. And I have to always be doing new things and exploring new things, because that's the only way that I really learn who I am. And I feel like it's the only way I'm impactful.
I'm the same way with that as well. I definitely do not thrive in stagnancy.
Yeah. And like, if you're always, I feel like a negative mindset, it's so hard to grow out of, right? So it's like, if you're stuck there, you were probably put there by somebody else, and I'm sorry for that for you. But the only way for you to get out of it is to climb the ladder and to build yourself up. And you build yourself up by building up other people. You know how we get self-esteem? By doing esteemable acts. You know, I'm not going to feel good about myself at the end of the day if all day long all I have done is talk crap about things that other people are creating. You know? Maybe it was a horrible episode. Maybe I had a terrible episode, or I had a terrible idea and I shared it with the world. Okay, can we just laugh about it together and move on? You have to bully me about it. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Like, or let's just say, okay, well, you tried that and you failed. It didn't work. Now what? You know, like, what does it take from you to put into other people? Because I don't ever feel like I'm losing something. I always feel like I'm gaining something when I'm putting into other people and I'm building somebody else up. So I guess I really want to know, like, what is the true motivation? Because other than to bring someone down to your level, because you don't really want them to be on your level. You want to be where they are. So, which is why you're mad, right? Mm-hmm. Usually. So I guess a good question would be, how can we help you to realize your dreams? If you have
How can we help you to help yourself?
Yeah. If you have dreams that you want to see come a reality, or you have ideas that you want to be shared, let us know. Talk to us about it in the comments. Like, what do you want us to talk about? If you guys don't like the things that go through our heads or the topics we bring up, please tell us what you would like to hear. Offer to come on the show. Argue viewpoints with me. I would love to have someone that thinks totally different from me on the show, just to be able to grow in, oh, well, I didn't think about something like that. Yeah. Or I just learned how to look at a situation from both sides and still argue my point maybe even better. Mm-hmm. You know, I feel like the online space is such a powerful, transformative space if we use it for good, right? What are you using your connections for right now? Are you using them to tear other people down, or are you using them to genuinely offer advice and to help the next person, thus helping yourself? You know, are you a useful tool today, or are you just a tool?
Mm-hmm. Well, guys.
That my heart looked weird. My heart was like, yeah.